It looks like we are on the verge of some pretty big things happening in crypto that will definitely have an impact on Cardano. It could be that these things happen in the very near future or in the far future, but it's going to happen at some point. Now's as good a time as any to talk about it. If you're way more worried about the WEF than you are about any ETFs, or if you're finding value in these videos, please consider delegating to the Army of Spies stake pool, ticker AOS. I think a lot of us are probably aware that the baby boomers of the current industrialized nation states are the richest generation that has ever lived. They are fabulously rich compared to any generation, any large global generation, at least a large portion of the world that has ever lived. Sure, you could pick out individual characters or individual small dynasties who were, ridiculously wealthy in the history of the world. But as far as a gigantic demographic age group, these guys are the richest. They're the richest generation we've ever seen. They hold ridiculous wealth. And something might be about to happen that will possibly lead to much greater interaction between that generation and this little thing we like to call crypto. So you might be asking, well, why are we looking at a picture of the recent video put out by Gary Gensler? This is one of his office hour videos we're used to. Usually when the office hours videos relate to anything having to do with crypto or anything that could be applied to crypto, which apparently in the eyes of Gary Gensler is everything the SEC does, it's usually a bunch of anti-crypto propaganda. That's not what we're going to look at today. We're not going to look at the content of this. We're going to look at a very interesting observation made by somebody about the timing of this video. So this poster said, usually this kind of stuff is posted by the SEC as like a disclaimer before they approve things they don't like. For example, last time was 4 days before they approved the BITO futures ETF. Would guess this puts BTC ETF approvals less than 1 week from now. And so granted, this was on the 8th of November. So, we're going to be running up against this week deadline. I don't know when any kind of Bitcoin ETF is going to happen. Nobody outside the SEC really knows if it's going to, maybe a few people on Wall Street definitely have an idea. But for the rest of us normal people in the retail world, we don't really know when any of these ETF approvals are going to take place. We've been speculating about them forever. It's been years now. We've been speculating about these ETF approvals. It's going to happen at some point. Is it going to be within the next week? Maybe. Is it going to be very long time from now? Maybe. I have no idea. That's not what we're talking about today. What we're talking about is the fact that it is going to happen at some point. I believe it's going to happen at some point. Could be very soon. And all of a sudden, that generation, that richest generation the world has ever seen, all of a sudden it will become much, much easier for them to expose themselves to crypto. And as much as we would not like to admit it, where Bitcoin goes, so does the rest of crypto. As much as we'd like to differentiate ourselves on grounds of philosophy and community and especially technology, Cardano is still a part of crypto. We're still another coin in the crypto ecosystem. ADA is, and Cardano is another ecosystem within the greater crypto ecosystem. And so far, what we've seen throughout the history of Bitcoin, all the ecosystems do their own thing, but largely we move in a lot of ways. We still move as a giant group. We're still beholden to the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. And when really big things happen like this, and don't kid yourself, this is a really big thing. ETF approvals in crypto, not just in Bitcoin. We'll talk about another type in just a second, but ETF approvals in crypto would be a very huge thing because all of a sudden, that richest generation would be able to expose itself to crypto in ways it hasn't been able to up till now. So, what do we know about any time a brand new vault of untold riches is going to be opened up, at least in a new way. We know that the traditional finance institutions will be on the scene before anyone else. They'll be ready and waiting. It's like they're like paparazzi who know the celebrity is going to be at a certain restaurant before the celebrity even knows they're going to be at that restaurant. That's how the TradFi institutions are. If there's new money to be had, they will be there. And that is certainly the case with this possibility of the riches of the boomers being opened up to crypto. And I know some of you are going to complain. I know there are a lot of baby boomers already in crypto, but there are a lot who aren't. So I'm not saying that no baby boomers are in crypto already, but a lot more could potentially be involved in exposing themselves to crypto once these ETFs open up. And what we're going to see is something that's been sort of foretold for quite a while. I think a lot of us in crypto remember a lot of the prognostication. Maybe the most famous was from someone who's not very well regarded in Cardano, and that would be Novogratz. Novogratz gave a certain speech where he talked about the herds coming, and he guaranteed everyone the herds are coming. Meanwhile, he was also talking about a lot about Luna. That didn't work out so well. So a lot of the predictions he gave maybe are not so well regarded, especially not in Cardano, because he certainly did not seem to like Cardano very well, which was okay because Luna didn't work out so well for him. But one thing I think he was right about is that the herds were going to be coming. And maybe the timing wasn't quite right. He said that during the last cycle. And I can't remember when he predicted this would happen. But it's kind of looking like we're getting to that point. In fact, I would say that the trad herds, TRADHERDS, I'll let you figure out the excellent acronym we could use for that. The trad herds are already here. Here we see this headline. Just in, $9 trillion asset manager BlackRock officially files for spot Ethereum ETF with NASDAQ. Just prior to this, we saw that I believe it was a filing in Delaware. BlackRock filed for an entity name that gave everyone a clue that they would be filing for an Ethereum ETF. And then we saw this actual filing. So it's not just going to be Bitcoin. We see Ethereum now already. And this makes sense. An entity like BlackRock, this gigantic global asset manager, of course, if there's money that's going to be made through Bitcoin and Ethereum and wide mainstream adoption and exposure, of course, they're going to get in on it. They're in the business of making money, and there's money to be made here. Let's do a little mental exercise right now. Let's imagine for a moment, and this certainly won't be any kind of financial, accounting, or legal advice of any kind for anyone, but let's do a little mental exercise. It's going to be a hypothetical. I'm not saying this is going to happen for anyone, but let's just do a mental exercise where we imagine that this new access to the world changing wealth of the baby boomer generation in crypto creates a parabolic cycle that makes everyone's dreams come through. The thing we seem to see most notably in crypto is sort of the moon Lambo syndrome. And this post we're about to look at presents a different perspective on the world. I'm not saying this is something anyone should or should not do. I'm just saying here's a different perspective to think about if all of your wildest dreams come true in the next cycle. So I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit. This is a scene from a movie called The Gambler. I haven't watched the movie, but I have looked at this video posted here on X, and it's something to consider. So I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit just because I know some people watch these videos or listen to them while they're dropping their kids off at work so that it's consumable by those people too. I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. And if you're watching this, you'll understand why. So the scene goes like this. The character speaking is talking to the Mark Wahlberg character, and he has this to say. You get up by $2.5 million. And I'm not saying anybody in crypto is going to make that money. This is just what they were discussing in the movie. So you get up by $2.5 million. Anyone in the world knows what to do. You get a house with a 25-year roof. You get an indestructible Japanese economy car. You put the rest into the system at 3 to 5% to pay your taxes. And that's your base, get me? That's your fortress of solitude. That puts you for the rest of your life at a level of not having to care about anything. Somebody wants you to do something, you don't care. Your boss makes you angry, you don't care. own your house, have a couple bucks in the bank, don't drink. I don't know if I agree with that part. If crypto goes wonderfully in the next cycle, I will most definitely drink some very nice glasses of single malt. But he says, don't drink. That's all I have to say to anybody on any social level. Did your grandfather take risks? Mark Wahlberg character says yes. He says, I guarantee he did it from a position of not caring about anything. A wise man's life is based around not caring about anything. The United States of America is based on not caring. You're a king. You have an army, greatest navy in the history of the world. We don't care. We'll make our own mistakes. Again, paraphrasing, obviously. This is an alternative to the moon Lambo dreams a lot of people in crypto seem to have in their heads, because certainly a lot of moon Lambos have been bought with crypto money. This is a little bit of a different perspective on the world. What if instead of the moon Lambo route, you just created a lifestyle for yourself where you cashed out and created the potential to not have to care about anything for the rest of your life? Maybe not living luxuriously for the rest of your life, but just creating that base where you don't have to care. So, all of that is obviously what could potentially happen on the good side during a good crypto market cycle. Here is a post about what can happen on the other side of the ledger. So this post says, fellow plebs, Dad and I found out yesterday that we were hacked and lost all of our Bitcoin, over 25 BTC hodled since 2012. No words to describe this feeling, particularly gut wrenching that I'm writing this from our first father son pilgrimage to El Salvador. Devastating. And I think he posted the right graphic. This is exactly how I think a lot of us would feel if we lost all of our crypto, especially a huge amount like this. I mean, I haven't checked the price today, but I think we're talking about, something like $750,000 of Bitcoin. Father and son having hodled it for 11 years, over a decade. This was, I'm sure, a big piece of their life plan all gone. He posted this later on to sort of explain how it happened. And it's pretty predictable. It's kind of exactly what you think would happen. He explains, hey, for the last 5 years, I've told everybody to use a hardware wallet, but we just never did it. He explains that they never put their 25 Bitcoin on a hardware wallet. His father was a developer, and instead they had some kind of a password management system, and it only had so many bits of entropy, and they think that someone either, he kind of imagines maybe it was a keylogger on one of our computers, maybe they just brute forced, the what he regards now as too low an entropy password, who knows. But the point is, he didn't have it on a hardware wallet, and the keys, the private keys to this account, to this wallet, were on a computer connected to the internet. So I think everybody who watches this channel knows this is kind of the cardinal sin. The cardinal sin in crypto is to have your keys to any amount of crypto you care about on a computer connected to the internet. And in fact, in this video, he tells everybody, just put your crypto on a hardware wallet. This is something obviously we've talked about many, many times on this channel, but these kinds of stories keep happening to people who, would probably give anything if he could go back just, a week or two and take all of his crypto and just put it in a hardware wallet. So don't get caught. Don't get caught like this poor guy and his father. My heart goes out to them. I can't imagine the amount of sadness that they're feeling right now. And some things have happened. We won't cover what's happened since he posted this video a couple days ago. It sounds like there's been some detection of the hackers' activity on Binance. So maybe there's actually a chance they can catch the hacker. But if you've got an amount of crypto you care about, I don't think things have changed. You still would be much better off if you put that on some kind of a hardware wallet where hackers won't have access through the internet to your private keys. Finally, you'll remember yesterday we discussed the misinformation in regard to Hamas and their use of crypto that was being spread by the Office of the Dragon and also by certain publications. It looks like the Wall Street Journal was unwilling to just take that L and walk away. They decided to revisit the topic with a brand new article. And look at this graphic. Look at this. You've got pictures of terrorists wearing the black masks. Looks like a piece of an AK there. Here we've got some other troops. I think these are supposed to represent IDF troops coming to counter Hamas. And gigantic graphic. And what, of course, is the headline? Hamas needed a new way to get money from Iran. It turned to crypto. The pivot to digital currencies helped Hamas receive large sums from Iran in the 2 years preceding the attack on Israel. But of course, crypto once again was all over this and pointed out that it seemed the same mistake was being made here, that the volume of money being transacted that the article seemed to be addressing seemed to be that same mistaken amount that was actually money being transacted between different wallets and not actually money that was sent to Hamas. So it looks like the Wall Street Journal just decided to double down. They couldn't just walk away, say, okay, maybe our facts weren't quite right in that previous article. No, no, no. They decided to double down. They run this gigantic graphic they had someone put together with this title right here. I think we're going to keep seeing this stuff. I think Operation Choke Point 2.0 is not over. They're not quite satisfied with the progress they've made in that little battle. We're going to keep seeing this. It's pretty obvious to me that the Dragon's office wants to kill self-custodied wallets. Specifically, that seems to be what they're after to kill self-custodied wallets. And they're trying to use this terrorism financing angle to convince everybody that they simply can't allow the public to self-custody their own crypto. Of course, that conveniently plays into what would be very convenient for the people who would like to have central bank digital currencies. If nobody can self custody their own crypto, it's a lot easier to convince everybody to just go ahead and use central bank digital currencies. I hope everybody is starting out a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.